La situación de Argentina es crítica. Los cambios que nuestro país necesita son drásticos. No hay lugar para gradualismo, no hay lugar para la tibieza, no hay lugar para medias tintas.
Welcome to Unity News. Remember, there is no need to fear. God is in control, and Jesus is King. As Christians, we are called to bring heaven to earth, standing firm on the rock of our faith. Now let's get into today's news. Today we will cover Javier Milei's bold moves in Argentina to combat inflation, the booming housing market following his reforms, and the impact of free market policies on the nation's economy. We will also look at the bigger picture, how these changes signal a global shift away from socialist policies toward pro-family, pro-Christian values. Story 1. Javier Milei's economic reforms in Argentina. Javier Milei, Argentina's new president, has taken a stand against socialism by dismantling oppressive financial regulations. His removal of rent controls and price caps on essentials has sent shockwaves through the economy, triggering a remarkable boom in the housing market. Although inflation remains high, rent prices have dropped significantly when adjusted for inflation, providing more affordable options for Argentinians. By relying on free market capitalism instead of government controls, Milei is empowering the people to find their own solutions. His leadership reflects Christian stewardship over resources, allowing individuals to thrive without excessive interference.
So he takes out the wage and price controls on that, the controls, and guess what happens? The supply comes out and people can get there. And suddenly the market is behaving as it should, which is the supply of rentals to the demand from people. Suddenly the tide comes in, the tide comes out. The ocean of the rental market is operating the way it should. And guess what? It's because Milei pulled socialist programs off the table.
Si nos movemos hacia aquella pizarra, Ministerio de Turismo y Deporte, afuera. Ministerio de Cultura, afuera. Ministerio de Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible, afuera. Ministerio de las Mujeres y Género y Diversidad, afuera. Ministerio de Obras Públicas, afuera. Aunque te resistas.
Story 2. Booming housing market. Under Milei's leadership, Argentina's housing market has flourished. Rental supply has increased by over 170, and landlords who once withheld properties are now placing them back on the market. Despite initial concerns about affordability, many renters are benefiting from lower real prices due to the increased supply. This is a positive example of how free market principles aligned with God's design for personal responsibility can create abundance. By lifting burdensome socialist restrictions, Milei is demonstrating how trust in people, rather than government, leads to blessings for all.
Guess what? Capitalist leadership wins. What Milei did, so you have rent controls. You're one of my favorite
case study.
Exactly.
Actors.
So I tell you, you cannot rent that apartment for more than $4,000.
Okay. Is it my apartment?
Yeah, you own it.
Okay.
Like you own a condo.
Okay.
3 bedrooms, 2 baths. You can't rent it for more than $4,000.
All right.
But loophole, you don't lease it. You put it on Airbnb and you make $400 a night.
Oh.
Guess what? You only rent it half the nights, 10, 15, that's $6,000. So do you put it out in the rental market at $4,000 a month on an annual lease, or do you Airbnb it for $6,000 a month?
Airbnb.
Correct. So guess what? The price control from the government creates a shortage.
Story 3. A stand for freedom and faith. Milei's rejection of socialist policies goes beyond economics. It's a moral stand for freedom. By cutting government control, Milei is safeguarding the right to private property and personal autonomy. His public statements against globalist overreach and socialist tyranny are a bold testament to his commitment to liberty and truth. Values deeply rooted in Christian teaching. His leadership, which emphasizes the God-given right to freedom, has the potential to transform not only Argentina, but set an example for nations worldwide.
The same thing that Reagan said. We don't need more government, we need less. People are looking for government to be the solution when government is the problem. What Milei is doing here is showing leadership. It ain't over. He's got to make more good decisions. He's got to keep pushing. But look at the progress he's making by pulling the socialist things back off the table. And I just hope he can hang on. I hope he can get reelected when it's time. I hope he can hang on. I hope the arms of corruptions don't emerge from the abyss and strangle him. I hope he can keep it up because he's got it started.
Proverbs 22:7 says, "The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is the slave of the lender. Milei's reforms demonstrate that when we release the heavy hand of government control, we can begin to live as free people. By trusting in God and aligning our policies with biblical principles of stewardship, we empower the people to prosper. We declare that God's wisdom is guiding leaders like Javier Milei to make righteous decisions that promote freedom, prosperity, and family values. We believe that through these actions, nations will rise from oppression and experience the abundance God has promised. Be sure to subscribe to Unity News, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. May God bless you and your families. Remember, we are called to be salt and light in this world. Stand strong in faith, for the best is yet to come.